Last time we looked at every Raw special that aired from the beginning of 1993 to the end of 2007. Let's pick up where we left off and check out more special episodes of the WWE's flagship Monday Night TV show. Raw Roulette returned to WWE Raw on the 7th of January 2008, only this time superstars from SmackDown and ECW were also included. What's also pretty fascinating about this show is the fact that WWE were testing out their high-definition cameras in preparation for Raw going HD in the near future, and the version that's been uploaded to WWE Network is the full test version. The feed sent out to the USA Network was in standard definition. In regards to the test version, the company still hadn't fixed up their replay borders and their transitions, so loads of overlays aren't scaled correctly, and generally speaking, the presentation of the show's an absolute mess, but it's still pretty cool that this version's available to watch online. Vince McMahon was in charge of the Raw Roulette this time around, and of course he didn't play fair and he wanted to satisfy his own filthy desires, the dirty old man. Fans said goodbye to 4:3 aspect ratio when Raw went full HD on the 21st of January 2008. A new intro was recorded for the show, an updated logo was used, fans got to see a new set and a new ring apron was utilised. The company's yet to broadcast the show in 4K though. The UFC dabbled in 4K previously with their UFC 200 pay-per-view back in 2016, so it's not an impossible task. I assume WWE's weighed up the costs and decided it's not really viable as of yet. The first WWE match officially broadcasted in high definition was Shawn Michaels vs Mr. Kennedy. On the road to WrestleMania 24, the WWE decided to book a few WrestleMania rematches on the March 10th, 2008 episode of Raw. Fans relived WrestleMania 22 when The Undertaker faced Mark Henry in a casket match. WrestleMania 15 was revisited when Triple H took on Kane. And in the main event, John Cena took on Shawn Michaels in a WrestleMania 23 rematch. It wasn't a bad idea for a special episode of Raw, and they didn't overdo it either. Plenty of other segments aired that had nothing to do with previous WrestleManias, so storylines progressed as you'd expect. For the first time ever, the King of the Ring quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals played out and aired on a single episode of Monday Night Raw. This happened on April 21st, 2008, and the tournament featured 8 competitors from Raw, SmackDown and ECW. Chris Jericho, MVP, CM Punk, Matt Hardy, Finlay, Great Khali, Hornswoggle and eventual winner William Regal. Regal's victory was noteworthy because it looked like he was going to get pushed immediately after winning King of the Ring. The promos he cut in subsequent weeks made it appear like Regal was going to play a much bigger role in WWE. However, he got suspended for violating the wellness policy for a second time, and he went right back into a mid-card role upon his return. Also on this Raw, Hillary Clinton had a match with Barack Obama, absolute nonsense that no one cared about. Another year, another WWE draft. The same format was used as last time. Matches took place between Raw, SmackDown and ECW superstars. If a wrestler won their match, they'd get a random draft pick for their brand, but this time the shakeup was a bit more noteworthy. Some big names changed brands, including Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, Batista, Kane and Michael Cole moving to Raw. SmackDown got Jeff Hardy, Umaga, Mr. Kennedy, Triple H and a visibly upset Jim Ross. ECW, meanwhile, only got one superstar, and that was Matt Hardy. A supplemental draft also took place just like the 2007 edition, but what many people also remember from this particular episode of Raw was Vince McMahon's $1 Million Mania. McMahon phoned fans to give away money live on Raw, but it all ended with his little $1 Million Mania sign crashing on top of him. Nothing's ever straightforward in pro wrestling, is it? The WWE celebrated the 800th episode of Raw by reuniting D-Generation X to take on The Miz and John Morrison. Batista also defended his World Heavyweight title inside a steel cage against Chris Jericho, and we had other little surprises sprinkled throughout the show, including Mae Young making an in-ring return. It doesn't get much better than that, folks. Viewers were also treated to a Hornswoggle and Kung Fu Naki dance party, a party that Ron Simmons didn't approve of. The 7th and final special episode of Raw that aired in 2008, the Slammy Awards, taking place on December 8th. The WWE were concerned about their drop in TV ratings around this time period, and that's why we got so many Raw specials. It's also the reason why Vince McMahon was practically phoning people to give money away live on TV, and the company also felt that bringing the Slammy Awards back after an 11-year absence would give them a little boost in viewership, but these kinds of shows never did bring in astronomical numbers. Along with the award ceremony, there was some good matches here, including John Cena vs Edge and Chris Jericho vs Jeff Hardy. Batista was also scheduled to face Triple H, but this was changed, and instead Hunter and Batista teamed up to take on The Legacy, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes and Manu. Chris Jericho won Superstar of the Year, Beth Phoenix was named Diva of the Year, Match of the Year went to Ric Flair vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24, and Tag Team of the Year went to John Morrison and The Miz. The 2009 WWE Draft took place on April 13th. Like 2007 and 2008, if a superstar won their match, they'd get a random draft pick for their brand. Raw got The Miz, Maurice, Matt Hardy, Big Show, MVP and Triple H. SmackDown got Melina, Kane, CM Punk, Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. And once again, ECW only got one random pick when they got Vladimir Kozlov. This show was main evented with a 6-man tag, Shane McMahon, Triple H and Batista versus The Legacy, consisting of Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. And other matches that happened on this night include Matt Hardy versus CM Punk, Jack Swagger versus John Cena, and Chris Jericho versus Tommy Dreamer. The WWE World and ECW Championships were up for grabs as superstars from SmackDown and ECW paid Raw a visit on June 15th, 2009. Tommy Dreamer successfully defended the ECW Championship against Christian. CM Punk successfully retained his world title against Edge and Jeff Hardy in a triple threat match. And seeing as the WWE title was vacated when Dave Batista got injured, a new WWE champion was crowned when Randy Orton defeated Triple H, Big Show and John Cena in a fatal 4-way. This episode of Raw also serves as the last time the ECW brand would show up on Monday nights. The WWE ECW show was replaced by WWE NXT on February 23rd, 2010. 1 week after the aforementioned Free-for-All show, the WWE, or rather Vince McMahon, got all excited about Donald Trump coming to Raw, and so the whole show got completely rebranded in Trump's honor. This set got Trump graphics, the show intro was altered, and for the first time ever, Raw was completely commercial free thanks to DT himself. Oh, did I mention that Trump also owned Raw during this time period? Yeah, that's right. In kayfabe, it was thanks to Donald owning Raw that the broadcast was commercial free. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler couldn't have gave a shit though, they were too busy eating KFC at the commentary table. Many people wouldn't bother watching this and they would write this Raw off immediately, but there is a decent Triple H versus Randy Orton last man standing match in the middle of the show, so if you can overlook all the other nonsense, there is something worth watching here. And hey, I'm not getting political here by the way, the parts of Raw that included Donald Trump were actually just shit. When Raw would have special 3-hour broadcasts, they always tried to make the show special and have some sort of theme going on. And one of the more memorable times this happened was when Bob Barker was brought in as Raw's special guest host on September 7th, 2009. Superstars would play The Price is Right with a WWE twist, and it actually turned out to be really entertaining. Barker was great in his role and his interactions with WWE superstars were all on point, but what made it all really work was the fact that it actually looked like Bob was having fun being on WWE Raw. We're in that time period when WWE would get hosted by different celebrities, sports personalities, and anyone else Vince McMahon deemed worthy. And so for the special Thanksgiving episode of Raw in 2009, Jesse Ventura returned to cut promos and book matches. Ventura said he wanted to do something revolutionary on this night, so he booked a series of singles matches where the winners would go into a battle royal. Whoever won the battle royal would become #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Jesse called it revolutionary, but it kinda reminded me of WCW's Battle Bowl. The whole point of this was to give someone a chance. The participants, except Randy Orton, had never been WWE champion before, and fans were transported back in time when Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura called the Battle Royal from the commentary table. Sheamus would end up winning the match, giving him a shot at John Cena's WWE Championship at the TLC pay-per-view. Sheamus would beat Cena in a tables match, and it was all thanks to Jesse Ventura that Sheamus became WWE champion. Coming live from Corpus Christi, the 2009 Slammy Award ceremony was held on December 14th, and again, this was another special 3-hour episode of Raw. This time, WWE held a tournament to see who would get crowned Superstar of the Year. Bit of a weird way to determine such an award, but it's not like anyone took the Slammy seriously, unless of course your name's Owen Hart. The tournament featured The Undertaker, Randy Orton, CM Punk and John Cena. It came down to Orton and Cena in the finals, and Mr. Hustle, Loyalty and Respect won the Slammy by hitting an attitude adjustment. Maria won Diva of the Year, Jericho won Tag Team of the Year, and Match of the Year went to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. While accepting his award, Shawn said if given another chance, he could beat The Undertaker. And so, on this very night, HBK's road to retirement would begin. The WWE brought back WrestleMania Rewind on March 15th, 2010, and I'm glad they did. I do like this concept as a special episode of Raw, and it's a good way to book some interesting matches as the company gears up for the biggest show of the year. This time around, we got John Cena vs The Big Show in a rematch from WrestleMania 20, we got Triple H vs Randy Orton in a rematch from WrestleMania 25, and fans also got treated to a Chris Jericho vs Shawn Michaels rematch from WrestleMania 19. Not only that, the special guest host for this episode of Raw was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it's always great when Stone Cold comes back to TV. Finally, Bret Hart and Vince McMahon took part in a contract signing for their upcoming WrestleMania match. A pretty stacked episode of Raw right here. The Superstars of Raw were stuck in Belfast due to a volcanic eruption in Iceland. The eruption resulted in the largest air traffic shutdown since World War II, and there was absolutely no way the Raw roster could get back to East Rutherford, New Jersey on the 19th of April 2010 to compete on the WWE's weekly Monday night television show. The SmackDown roster was brought in to entertain viewers instead, and fans got treated to a unique episode of Raw featuring matches such as Jack Swagger vs The Undertaker and Drew McIntyre vs Matt Hardy. Triple H was the only guy on the Raw roster who appeared on this episode in the ring, and he competed in a 6-man tag: Hunter, Edge and Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk, Luke Gallows and Chris Jericho. It's that time of year again when superstars go from Raw to SmackDown and vice versa. This time we've got Teddy Long representing SmackDown and WWE Champion John Cena representing Raw as an authority figure. And this time Raw got John Morrison, Edge, R-Truth and Chris Jericho, while SmackDown got Kofi Kingston, The Big Show, Kelly Kelly and Christian. The show was headlined with a triple threat match: Batista vs Randy Orton vs Sheamus. The second ever commercial-free episode of Raw happened on the 17th of May 2010. Doesn't mean much when you pirate Raw every week, but for fans who watch the show live, it is quite nice not to get the action broke up every 10 minutes or so. This one came from the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. Member of the Rebel Alliance, Buzz Aldrin, made an appearance. Buzz talked about needing funding for new space rockets while the Canadian audience shouted "What?" at him. It's absolutely hilarious. And in terms of bell-to-bell action, we got to see Christian vs Edge, Randy Orton vs Jack Swagger, Sheamus vs John Cena, and Bret Hart becoming US champion when he defeated The Miz. SmackDown Superstars came to town on June 7th, 2010 for a special Viewer's Choice episode of Raw. Fans could vote for matches and match stipulations on WWE.com. So for example, we were given the opportunity to decide if Big Show vs Chris Jericho would be an over-the-top rope challenge, a submission match, or a body slam challenge. And we could also select John Cena's opponent from a choice of Jack Swagger, Rey Mysterio and CM Punk. Basically, it was like Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday. What everyone remembers from this episode though was the debut of the Nexus, the group of NXT hopefuls who ended up causing a lot of chaos, and this also resulted in Daniel Bryan getting released from the company for a brief period of time. But let's not forget that Roddy Piper, Murdoch from the A-Team and Rampage Jackson also appeared on this episode of Raw. Gonna be honest, I totally forgot about this. Milestone after milestone, the WWE celebrated their 900th episode of Raw in Boston, Mass on August 30th, 2010. Touting themselves as having the longest running weekly episodic TV show in history, the WWE celebrated the occasion by booking the Nexus against 5 of Raw's finest: John Cena, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, Edge and Sheamus. A Bret Hart vs Undertaker match was also teased, but it got interrupted by Wade Barrett, and then Kane, and then the rest of the Nexus. CM Punk also took great delight in showing fans highlights of Raw superstars acting like complete animals over the past lot of years. Another episode of Raw Roulette took place on September 13th, 2010. The main event featured Randy Orton taking on John Cena, and after spinning the wheel it was determined that this main event would be a tables match. Randy won after countering an attitude adjustment with an RKO. This was nothing though. The most interesting bout of the night had to be the Trading Places match that saw Goldust and William Regal swap gimmicks. Regal makes a pretty good Goldust, and Goldust had Regal's mannerisms down to a T. About a month after Raw Roulette, the WWE decided to present Old School Raw, another 3-hour special episode, only this time the WWE went back in time. Old School Raw was supposed to represent the 1993 version of Monday Night Raw, but they got a little confused. We had the show signature from the 80s, the original 1993 theme song, we had a stage that represented Raw in 1996 and 1997, Justin Roberts dressed like someone or something from the 70s, Mean Gene Okerlund had interview spots that looked straight from Challenge or Superstars in the early 90s. The general theming around the first Old School Raw was an absolute mess, but the show itself is still a whole lot of fun. Plenty of legends, plenty of silly moments, and it's all topped off with an episode of Piper's Pit featuring Wade Barrett and his Nexus underling John Cena. The 2010 King of the Ring was crowned on the November 28th edition of Monday Night Raw. The WWE skipped the tournament in 2009, but it came back in 2010 with qualifying matches happening the week prior. Superstars from Raw and SmackDown were allowed to compete, but the finals came down to 2 Raw superstars, Sheamus and John Morrison. In the end, Sheamus won the tournament to become King Sheamus. But another story coming out of this night was Jerry Lawler's first ever televised shot at the WWE Championship. Jerry Lawler celebrated his birthday on this day, but he was unable to beat The Miz for the belt. The two fought in a tables, ladders and chairs match, however Miz got a little assistance from Alex Riley and Michael Cole. The 2010 Slammy Award show took place in New Orleans on December 13th. Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette was on hand to host the event, and this time the Superstar of the Year award was decided through a vote on WWE.com instead of a one-night tournament. John Cena was once again selected as Superstar of the Year, but the Diva of the Year was decided through a Battle Royal and Michelle McCool came out victorious. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker won Match of the Year once again for their showdown at WrestleMania 26, and the WWE must have stopped caring about tag teams because no award was given out for Tag Team of the Year. The main event of this Raw featured John Cena taking on David Otunga. I know, trust me, we'll have some interesting shows in just a moment. The draft returned in 2011 and the show started off with a bang when John Cena got drafted to SmackDown. The Blue Brand also got Randy Orton, Mark Henry and Sin Cara, while Raw got Rey Mysterio, Big Show, Alberto Del Rio and John Cena. Cena got drafted back to the Red Brand at the very end of the show. The WWE celebrated The Rock's birthday 1 week after the 2011 draft. Not only did Rocky get the chance to hit a rock bottom in people's elbow on Michael Cole, he also got performances from Pitbull, Maya and the Miami Heat cheerleaders. Celebrities sent in videos to talk about how great The Rock is, and it all ended with a ridiculous amount of confetti and balloons falling from the ceiling as the Miami fans cheered for the People's Champion. The version on the WWE Network shows us what happened when Raw went off the air, and it is worth watching. Rock has a little fun with a few young John Cena fans, and he also shares his moment on Raw with his mother. To coincide with the release of the WWE All-Stars video game, the WWE hosted a special episode of Raw named All-Star Night. Video game footage and graphics lifted directly from the game were used to promote upcoming matches, and I did think this was a good way to promote the game. It was pretty unique. Stone Cold Steve Austin also returned to Raw on this evening, and many people will remember the promo featuring the Rattlesnake and CM Punk. This would quickly become a WWE Dream Match and a featured match that could be played in the All-Stars game. It's always good seeing Stone Cold interact with guys and girls he never interacted with before. On June 20th, 2011, WWE put out another 3-hour episode of Raw, and this one was named Power to the People, not to be confused with Dirtbag Johnny Ace's People Power. Part of the People allowed fans to vote on a variety of matches and stipulations using their mobile phones, so it's pretty much the same as the Viewer's Choice Raw back in June 2010. Michael Cole was voted in to have a dance competition against Vicky Guerrero. That went just as you'd expect it would. A triple threat match between CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio became a Falls Count Anywhere bout thanks to the fan vote. And also Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston had to work a little extra on this night when fans voted for these two to compete in a 2 out of 3 falls match. The voting for the main event was hilarious though. Have a look at this. 1 fall to a finish, 20-minute time limit, or an elimination match. So your choices are normal match, or elimination match. Shout out to the 6% of people who voted for a 20-minute time limit though. WWE All-Star Night, Part of the People, and Raw Roulette all happened one after another. This time the wheel returned to Las Vegas, Nevada, but you all know what the real big story was on this night. That's right, CM Punk's famous pipe bomb promo. Everyone was talking about CM Punk when this night was over, and no one really cared about the matches that took place on this evening. It's a big night here for Punk, and it's a promo that still gets talked about to this very day. Shawn Michaels also made an appearance on this night, as did Mr. Diamond Dallas Page, but again, no one really cared. Like him or not, this night belonged to CM Punk. The WWE were scrambling to come up with ideas for their 3-hour episodes of Raw, seeing as they were becoming more and more frequent. So once again, they dedicated the show to The Rock. We're now in the Raw Super Show era. Both brands were merging together and SmackDown would become an afterthought for a little while. Mick Foley also made an appearance, and the WWE tried to recapture the glory of The Rock's This Is Your Life segment by having John Cena's life celebrated, but it ended quite abruptly when The Rock walked down to hit Mick Foley with a rock bottom. Rock was getting ready for his return to the ring later in the week. He and Cena were teaming up to take on Miz and R-Truth, and yeah, nothing more than another 3-hour Raw here that was disguised as something special. The whole final promo with The Rock was replayed on SmackDown, by the way, solidifying the fact that WWE was way more concerned about what happened on Monday nights as opposed to Friday nights. Last one for this video, and it's the Slammy Awards. Sorry guys, they didn't get very creative, did they? You guessed it, another 3-hour extravaganza, December 12, 2011. The WWE handed out a bunch of weird and ridiculous Slammies this time around, such as Pipe Bomb of the Year. I mean, who else was going to win that? David Otunga won the Pee Wee Herman Bow Tie of the Year award. Snooki won the A-Lister of the Year Slammy, beating the likes of Hugh Jackman and the Muppets to claim her award. The Diva of the Year award was replaced with the Divalicious Moment of the Year award. Kelly Kelly won this, by the way, for winning the Divas Championship. And CM Punk was voted as Superstar of the Year, putting an end to John Cena's little award streak. We still have a lot of Raw specials to look at. I've already listed 60 episodes over 2 videos, but there's a ton more to come, including more Christmas episodes, more birthday celebrations, Occupy Raw, the 25-year show, loads more still to come, so if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button and get notified when the next upload goes live. I'll see you all for part 3, and thank you very much for watching. Take care.
Streets like Space Invaders. Too much damage for one to manage. 150, 150,